So today I'm going to work on getting an 87, 73 to 87 Chevy seat to fit this 66 GMC. You can see it sits pretty low. This back should be up about here. So the stock 73 to 87 mounts are not going to work. I need to adapt the original 66 mounts. You can see they're got some pretty good height to them. I need to adapt these to fit the newer seat. The seat will be easier to work on if I only take half of it back to my shed to work on. So I got to work on getting the seat backs off. We need to remove these hinge covers, and then we'll go from there. It was just the 2 screws to remove that, and now this is a 13/16. So just need to do the other side and the back will come out. So that's how easy it is to get the back of a Chevy seat off. It's pretty rough. I don't know if I'm going to recover this or not. Depends on whether or not I sell this truck. It's the same affair on the 66 seat, except it's just a 9/16. Kinda, that's out. Great. So the stock bracket was broke right there in the front on the driver's side, and we don't need this anyways, because we're going to put the old one on. You can see how short it is compared to the one from the 66. So, need to buzz these out. It's a 1/2 inch. A little spring tension on that. But it's free on this side now. Other than that spring. I'll take off this bracket. So I've decided that I'm going to rebuild the stock seats. These newer seats, there's not enough of a difference between this height and this front height. It's going to wind up making the seat sit about 3 inches taller in the back with the original seat mounts. So now I'm going to take apart this seat and see if I can use it to rebuild the original seat. This is the late model seat bottom. I just finished cutting the fabric, so we're going to peel the fabric off. I just cut it because I'm not using it for a pattern, because I'm not using this seat. So we have some kind of padding underneath here that has definitely seen better days. And that's the driver's seat seat bottom area. You can see it's kind of wallowed out down here. This foam is good. This is kind of rough, but it's serviceable. Somebody stuck some foam down inside there too. What did they do? Looks like, yeah, they stuck it down in there to compensate for a broken spring on the driver's side. It's right there. It's broken on the passenger side too. So that's what it's supposed to look like. So it shouldn't go down all the way to the metal like that. So I guess I'm glad I chose to switch them, because I don't think anything is broken on the old one. This is the original seat cover. You can see it's pretty blown out. But I'm going to use it to make a template pattern for sewing a new cover. I'm working in one of my sheds. It's just cold outside. It's like maybe 30 out there. A little warmer in here with my heater going. So these are interesting old clips. It looks like I'm going to need to save them unless I carry the new cover into these springs where I could use hog rings. So I gotta pop all these clips off to remove this cover. Once I remove this cover, this is the recover that somebody else had done, and I just cut it off. You can see they used clips too. So I'm gonna save all those clips. Once I get this off, I can separate the seams and start making patterns. It looks like with these clips I can get them by kind of getting an angle on them and then twisting to pull it off. By prying against the side of the clip to pry it off of the metal, just like that. So I'm going to go around and get all these clips off. You see how to do them. So I think I got all the clips off. Now it's time to see what we have here. I'll just peel this out. That might be easier if I take these brackets off. I'll probably have to take them off when I go to install my new cover, though. There was a clip right here, and that suggests to me this is going to be difficult with those on. Yeah, it's a tight fit with them on. There's a spring here that I don't know what the heck that went to. This is the only thing I can think of, but I don't know. I guess it might have been, if it was fully compressed, it might have helped keep this thing from rattling around. So I might have to see about getting a new spring. But I'm just going to take this off, and toss it aside, and continue on. Pull this all out. Let's get it off the top. This is pretty attractive looking. Well, I didn't mean to do that. It's pretty stuck. I think well, actually that's ice. Maybe I better let it thaw out. Looks like I'm going to bring the foam with it because of it being frozen. Well, I've peeled the seat cushion off. This gives me a good opportunity to look at the springs, and they're They're all intact on this side, but we've got one broken here. I might try to tack weld that. Tack weld it. Maybe make a sleeve for it or something, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I can't get a new one. Or if I can, I don't want to bother with it. And this cord in here that the inner springs go to tore and the springs came off. I don't know if there's anything I can do about that. That is mouse droppings under my seat cover, which I am allergic to their urine, so I'll probably be spraying this cushion down with some bleach water. You can see it's pretty frozen. So I've been comparing the late model seat foam to the original seat foam, and this seat foam has these wires that run through it. You can see they're kind of like woven into this burlap, and I can just pull them through. Like this. And this burlap is just basically fused to the bottom of a piece of foam, and this foam's only like an inch thick. And those wires help keep the foam from sagging between these flat springs. So I think I'm just going to buy a new piece of foam. Won't be as high density, so I'll go with 2-inch. I'll get some burlap to fuse to the bottom of it over the top of these wires. Then I'll have a whole new seat cushion. I won't have to sterilize it or anything like that for the rodent urine. Maisie decided to come and say hi while I'm working on my project here. So here's what I decided. I bought this new roll of foam at Hobby Lobby. It's 2-inch by 27-inch, but I think it was 76. It's regular $40. They have a 40% off coupon in their app. This is the strange padding that was on top of the late model seat, and I've trimmed it to remove the big holes and put maybe the thicker portion underneath the driver's side. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it to some burlap, and I'm going to do 2 layers of burlap. And I've got some steel wire over there sitting on that other cushion, and I'm just going to do all new steel wire in this, but I got to get it glued together first. So I'm going to lay it out, spray down my glue. Alright, this comes out in kind of a fan spray. Just going to fan spray it on there. Just like this. And then we have to apply it to the other piece. Just like that. Now, I'll lay it on top of this first portion. I want to make sure that I don't have any weird gaps, so I want to force it in there. Just like like that. All right. Now, I need to do the other end, other side. So here is my second layer piece. Just lay it right here, like this. Stuff's gonna overlap, so I gotta leave room here. This glue comes out like strings, which is good. It's not super wet, so it doesn't just soak right through and get everything else that you don't want it on. It does take a little bit of time for it to fully cure, so we have a little bit of time to work with here. So I can separate that, fix that right there. And there it is. And so now we'll start gluing these pieces down. This is really porous, so I'm going to give it a little extra, but generally you do not need to put very much on here. This will also keep the stuff from sliding around while you're working on it, so that it'll stay put right where you want it. So when we go to put the next piece on, you know, it's all going to be built. I decided to go ahead and put this stuff on because the seat cushion just wasn't as soft as I wanted it to be. I could kind of feel the springs underneath it. I really don't want to feel those. Ugh. I'll just cut this one. It'll kind of fit in this gap right here, like that. Everything's sliding off, and that's not very helpful. Just like that. This is kind of thin, and this is kind of thin, so probably just add it in there. I'll cut that off. There. You remember how I had that? Oh, that's how I had it. Great. Now it's going to be really sticky. But I'll be putting glue on top of all this anyways when I put the foam over it, which I'll do here in a moment. Okay. Sticky. Okay. I will probably go back and put some more bits of this shredded cotton stuff underneath the edges of the foam once I have the foam in here. But I just want to get this started. I'm going to do the whole sheet, because that would be kind of a big pain in the butt to deal with. So I'm going to lay this down like that. And I'll spray the rest of it. Alright, now this should all tack together well enough that I can just lift it all off like that. Get the seat frame out of the way. Make a little room. Lay it on the ground. And give it some pressure. Make sure it's all sticking down good. I really should have swept this floor. Okay. So I've got some stuff in the way here. Okay. And there we are. Now I'll flip it over. Yuck. Get some of this dirt out of here. Okay, there it is. Here's some folds in it, but really not too worried about it. I don't know if I can lift it off anymore. I can, but it'll stay very sticky. I'll have to re-glue it. Okay. All right. That should be good enough. So I'm trimming this to the size of the original cushion now. I've got this piece of plywood under it, so I'm not just cutting on the cement. to trim the corners so they're not square. So like that. Don't want to take off too much. It's supposed to fold over the edge. Alright, let's get that piece of shit out of the way. So there's the shape of our new seat cushion. I definitely recommend vacuuming your floor before you start it. So the next step will be new wires, because I'm not going to try to feed these through. It's pretty light gauge. And I have some steel wire I can try to use in place of it. This is a little soft. That's way too little. There we go. Galvanized steel wire. I don't know if I have enough to do what needs to be done. Let's see. Looks like that's probably long enough. Alright, so there was originally like 18 wires. They're all about an inch apart. Start about 3 inches from the end. So I measured 3 inches from my end. And I laid down 18 lines that I'm going to follow. I used a bubble level for my straight edge to do this. It is not perfect. I see that it's off a little bit on this side. Is a little bit more distance right there than there is on this side. But I don't think it's going to make a difference, because seat springs go pretty much right about here, so it should clear it. So now I'm trying to sew this wire through the burlap. And this wire is meant to, I'm sure, keep it from getting pressed down through the springs on the seat. You want to get this kind of as straight as you can. And then found it helped a lot to cut this at an angle. Kind of try to form it into a needle. Make it sharp. Poke it down through. Come on. Bunch it up and poke it through. And it gets harder the farther you go, because you're dragging this wire along behind you through all of this burlap and probably some of that cotton batting and through that glue. So gotta kind of work it. I don't think it's important that it all be exactly perfectly spaced. I measured this out at around 1 inch under and 2 inches over, but I'm not worrying about it too much. For perfection, it's just the bottom of the seat. The bigger wire is harder because it pushes a lot more of that glue, whereas the smaller wires that I have just seem to poke right through it. And I would prefer to have these larger wires versus these smaller ones, just because I know they're going to be more durable. But I only had enough of this for about 5 of these strands. And so I'm just kind of alternating it in the hopes that it'll take some of the load off of the smaller ones. I actually have 3 different sizes of wire here because I didn't have enough of any of them. So I've got this heavier gauge stuff, and then I got some of the heaviest, and then my medium one, and then my thinnest. Now I'm back to the heaviest, and so I'm just going to do that all the way across. And hope that the heaviest next to the lightest will help take some of the load off of that lightest one. This has been really time consuming and not fun at all. And while you're watching this, keep in mind I have no clue what I'm doing. I've never done this before. I have sewn, look at that big blob of cotton that's pulling through with the glue on it. I've sewn the vinyl and tweed seat covers before, but I've never tried to make a whole new seat bottom like this before. So this is a learning experience for me. Thinner wire has a tendency of folding when I try to push it through because that glue kind of stops it up. It might have been easier to do this before gluing it to the surfaces. So if you're watching this and this is something you're going to try and do, I suggest go with one nice big piece of burlap, which I did not have, didn't want to buy it. I had all this burlap laying around, but it was just in these strips. So I figured I'd just make do. But if you had one big piece, and you marked it all out like this, so that you could get the wiring sewn in just in the right spots, I would say lay out all 18 wires, feed a few of them through, bunch it up, feed a few of them through, bunch it up, and just work your way across and then straighten it all out. I decided I'm going to use this rope at each end for anchoring them. I think it'll work fine. There isn't really any tension on it, so you don't have to worry about it really pulling through. There it is. It only took me a few hours to get all of these wires fed through. By not recording it, I saved you the agony of watching me go through the agony of Charlie horses and my calves and hamstrings from kneeling all this time, lean on one side to the other. Anyways, that's done.